Hello, friends. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Astrology and Pending Karma. And we're just going to continue with the series. It took a little bit longer last week. I got a little busy with some other stuff. But today we're going to talk about Rahu transiting over your natal Venus, Saturn, Rahu transiting over your natal Rahu in your chart, and natal Ketu as well. So yeah, we'll start with the first one. Natal Venus, natal Saturn, Rahu and Ketu. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. You hit that subscribe button and like my video as well. If you can hold on to the entire video, and you will learn a new things over here as well. So let's, without further taking much time, let's start with the new one. So the first things first, Rahu transiting over your natal Venus in your birth chart. So what is Venus? Venus is your wife. Venus is your finances, your luxurious items in your life. If you have a badly placed Venus, you may be a really intelligent. You may be someone who works really hard, but you may not be able to enjoy luxurious items. So it doesn't matter what planets are strong in your chart, but if you want to see if you're going to be able to enjoy luxury, if you're going to be able to enjoy the big cars, the new cars, expensive cars, watches, um, you know all the stuff, all the expensive stuff, landed properties, expensive houses, expensive cars, and jewelries, all of that is controlled by Venus. So if you've got a beautiful wife, it means that usually you would have a good Venus. Um, it's directly correlated. Venus is your wife. Venus is all the females in your life as well. It represents a white color. Venus represents um, your paternal aunt as well. It's a seed in terms of fruit. What it's a seed in the fruit. In male chart, it's also sperm. So if you have afflicted Venus, you may find it difficult to procreate, or you may not have children in your life as well, or kids in your life as well, or natural kids in your life as well. It represents your female partner or feminine characteristics. So in your female partner as well, um, how feminine your spouse will be, or your wife will be in a male chart, can be seen from Venus as well. There is a lot of other stuff. It's also garments, it's your clothes as well. And like I said, I mean, it's there's a lot of stuff that goes with Venus. Now Rahu and Venus, they are cordial to each other. They are friends. They're not enemies to each other. They're both falling in the group where they're both helping each other out. Now, remember, Rahu is an unfinished business. So Rahu doesn't let you enjoy the fruits of whatever it gives. So Rahu is like a booster, but it's not the real thing. If you don't have gas in the car, or if your car is electronically not equipped to handle high pressure or high speed, eventually your car will break down. Rahu is that temporary boost that you will get, but at the end of the day, it's just going to die down, right? So it's going to, whatever Rahu gives, it kind of takes it away. If your chart is not strong, then Rahu is just a temporary thing, and it sometimes can put you in trouble as well. Now, when Rahu transits over Venus, you might see that you may get into new relationships. You might starting dating uh, as well, or you might start. If you're already in a relationship, you might find yourself accompanied with more females around you. Like for example, in your workplace or in your school, in your colleges, all of a sudden you will see that you are more attracted to females, or females might be more attracted to you. Either ways, again, it depends on overall chart to see what it is, and also the fact that what is your sexual orientation before we can interpret what it does. But it does bring Venus is sex, Venus is lust, it brings you all the worldly desires around you, right? So it's a materialistic planet. So when Rahu, who is a planet of expansion, goes over Venus, it will increase your materialistic desires. You may find yourself in a situation where you're spending too much, but at the same time, you may find yourself in a situation where you're earning too much as well. Your earnings go high, and that's the reason you're spending more money. So Venus represents all of that. Occasionally, I've seen that when Rahu transits over Venus, it does give some health issues to the wife, especially if she's pregnant. It can show some kind of issues as well. Now remember, Rahu is the new beginning. So if Jupiter is in a good transit, or if you're going through good Mahadasha, and at the same time, if Rahu is transiting over Venus, then it can show a female birth as well for the couple or for the family. So that's pretty much it. Just be careful with the money and the funds. There are chances that some fraudulent, you might lose some money in some fraudulent activities, or you might be a victim of a financial scam as well. So just take care of that. But other than that, there's nothing else to be worried about. Like I said, Venus and Rahu are friends, so they don't kind of, make a lot of damage or dent in your chart. So that's pretty much it for Rahu transiting over Venus. Next, we're going to talk about Rahu transiting over your natal So now we're going to talk about Rahu transiting over your natal Saturn. And so what is Saturn? So Saturn is your karma. It's your work, your ability to work hard, your ability to get up in the morning and work, go to work. It is your discipline. It's also laziness. So it's kind of double-edged. If you have a bad Saturn, it may make you lazy, but at the same time, it will put you under a lot of work pressure as well. Saturn is your karma. Like I said, what it basically means is your actions and activities and the results of those actions is also Saturn. Saturn is a lowly paid job. So if you have a strong Saturn and a bad Venus, you may work really hard, like uh, you may be a really hard worker. You may be intelligent if Mercury is good as well, but if because of bad Venus, you may not get paid well. So Saturn is lowly paid job. It is a representative of lower class, if for the lack of the better word, for unprivileged. Let's put it that way. So it's not Saturn is not a supporter of authority, but it is a supporter of large mass. Saturn gets exalted in the sign of Venus, which is Libra, which is a sign of justice and equity and harmony. So Saturn basically is a cunning planet. It's don't be fooled by the other attributes, but Saturn is a cunning planet. So anyone who has, for instance, Saturn in the first house may have inborn political abilities and inborn ability to, be cunning and in a different way. It's different. It loses its directional strength in the first house, but it puts you with gives you a lot of cunning abilities as well. Now, again, you do have to. It's just one placement, but you do have to look at the overall chart. But so don't just judge the book by its cover of one planet, right? So. Yeah, so Saturn is that's all it is, but primarily in Vedic, in Brigu, in a lot of other stuff, you can see that Saturn is karaka for profession. So what happens when Rahu goes over Saturn? So if you're already employed, if you're again, like I said, if you have good Venus placement on in your chart, then Saturn, Rahu transiting over Saturn could be a blessing. What I mean is that it might increase your work responsibilities. It might increase your sources of work. So you may have a job and a business. So when Rahu transits over Saturn, you may start a new business because Rahu is a beginning. Always remember, whenever Rahu transits over some planet, it's going to begin something new. So um, when it transits over Saturn, it might, you might get a new responsibility at your workplace if you're not, if there is no entrepreneurship in your chart. If you do have entrepreneurship, then along with the job, you might start a new business, and it's going to flourish for the time when Rahu is going to transit. Now, remember, Rahu is, like I said in the previous transit over Venus, that it is an unfinished business. So you got to be careful, a little bit careful that you don't take too much because it might lead you into a situation where you might quit the job or you might get exhausted and you just don't finish you don't finish the project. So just be careful. It is Rahu does make you overly optimistic. Rahu does take you in. It's a planet of expansion. It's a new beginning. So it might make you expand. It might make you take new things, and you might find yourself in a situation where you're stuck and you don't have other people helping you as well. So just be careful with that. Now, in terms of friendship, Rahu and Saturn are not enemies to each other. They in fact co-rule the 11th sign Aquarius, and Rahu, it's not necessarily a bad planet. Like I said, I mean so usually it's this combination, Rahu Saturn combination, and let's say for example Brigu Nadi, it says low paid job, but it's not necessarily true because if your Venus is nice or nicely placed, or if your Venus is getting support from Jupiter, Sun, or any other boosting planets, then Rahu Saturn can work really good in your favor. Now it does. Rahu is also photography, so if you're new and if your overall chart shows that, you might get for the timings, get an inclination of taking pictures or getting into pictures, movies, entertainment business as well. because Rahu represents those things and Saturn is work, right? So you might get into an entertainment business, liquor business. You might get into some kind of trouble if you are having some bad transit or bad Mahadasha as well. In terms of work, Rahu may, like I said, I mean, it makes you overambitious. So and Saturn, if it's not strong, it might make you lazy. So what it basically does is that it can turn you into a lazy worker, or it might turn you into a worker who is trying to take a shortcut, and in the process, he messes up the system. So you got to be careful on those terms. Now, you also, if there is some involvement of moon, that can also represent that some kind of blame. Or some kind of issues at the work front as well. But again, like I said, I mean, it's only one placement. We're only looking at one thing. So if we just simply talk about Rahu transiting over Saturn, it's not that bad. It might just increase your responsibilities. And depending on your Saturn, it might sometimes make you lazy or sometimes take up those responsibilities and make the most out of it as well. So keep an eye out. Rahu transiting over Saturn can really be a good sign for you overall in your chart if other planets support as well. So that's it about Rahu transiting over Saturn. Next, we are going to talk about Rahu transiting over your Rahu. So that's it. Let's talk about that. So Rahu transiting over your Rahu. So what is Rahu? Rahu is new beginning. Rahu is expansion. Rahu is an unfinished business. So when Rahu transit over Rahu, the attributes of Rahu is enhanced. What it basically means is it usually means that you are going to start something really new, and the cycle will continue for next 18 years. Um, Rahu stays in one sign for about 1 year and 6 months. It's a Rahu's movement is also always retrograde, which means it goes in the opposite direction as opposed to other planets, which usually go in the straight motion. Um, what it means is from Aries, it will go to Pisces and then Aquarius, Capricorn, and so on and so forth. So that's how Rahu moves. And yeah, it takes 1 year and 6 months to transit over one house or one sign. Now, what it basically means, Rahu transiting over Rahu. So again, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Rahu transit over Rahu is a new beginning. You might start a new cycle in your life. You might have ended an old cycle when Rahu was 12th from its own self, and then when Rahu transit over Rahu, it shows new beginning. It shows increase in your courage, your motivation. You are kind of boosting up yourself. But remember, at the same time, Ketu is going to be transiting over Ketu as well. And Ketu is the ending of all things. So Rahu, the beginning meets the beginner, and the ending is met by someone who finishes the job, the Ketu. So when these transits are not usually bad, it's again, you have to overall look at the overall chart. Rahu in and itself doesn't give any result, but Rahu does, like I said, I mean, Rahu does indicate new beginning. But if Rahu is conjunct with other planets, that might show a little bit more signs as to what it's going to show up. It also depends on other transits and other Mahadasha results as to what Rahu will show. Rahu is the construction of, if it's connected with the Mars or Venus, it shows construction of new house. If it's connected with Moon, it might show moving to another country or traveling to another country and transiting to another country. If it goes over Venus, a new relationship, new bank accounts, Uh, if it transits over Saturn, it shows Rahu and Saturn. It shows new job, new profession, new career, new field of job, and so on and so forth. So again, just Rahu or Rahu is not a significant change unless Rahu is somehow connected with other planets, and that's the time when you can exactly pinpoint as to what that new beginning is going to be. But overall, it's not a bad transit. It's just ending of your past karmas and beginning of new ones to end that as well at the end of 18-year cycle. So I've usually seen that when Rahu transits over Rahu, usually seen that someone has finished their college and they're just starting their work, and they're starting a phase in their life where they're going to start work, and or they're just getting married, or they're just gotten into a new country and they're trying to settle down. So these are the usual circumstances that I've seen. But again, in these circumstances, I've seen that there is another connection with another planet and Rahu as well. So that's what I've seen. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's not a bad transit. Like I said, it depends on other planets as well. Now, next we're going to talk about is Rahu transiting over your natal Ketu. So Rahu transiting over your natal Ketu. What is Ketu? Ketu is ending. What is Rahu? Rahu is beginning. What is Ketu? Ketu represents the eighth house of ups and downs, eighth house of secrecy. What is Rahu? Rahu is expansion. Rahu's resources. Rahu does really good in the second house, the house of Venus. Ketu, Rahu is sometimes compared with Saturn. Ketu is sometimes compared with Mars. And Saturn and Mars, although they're both Mars is on the Dev side of the planets, and Rahu is on the Danav or materialistic side of the planet. So this transit usually brings a strong karmic connection. So it is halfway through the transit. It is 7 houses. It started its journey 7 houses apart, and now it's just finished half the journey. Now what basically it does is when this transit comes up, what it does is that it closes or it ties up all the loose ends, whatever. And when you are tying up all the loose ends, you're gonna open a lot of can of worms, and it will bring a little bit of things from the past, and it's gonna start you're going to start resolving, or you're going to start going through it. A lot of things that you put it in the pending, a lot of things that you said, okay, you're going to do it later, you're not going to take care of it right now. You had a past relationship, you had unfinished business, you owed money to someone, and you kind of escaped that responsibility, or someone owed money to you, and that person kind of ran away from his responsibility. In all these cases, you will face these situations where you're tying your loose ends, or you're trying to connect the resources in a way that whatever is pending, you're trying to finish that job. So that is basically it for when Rahu transits over Ketu. It's not overtly bad, but it does bring a very strong karmic connection from the past. Now, it depends on the what life cycle of you are in. You do have to remember there's a lot of rebirths, a lot of reincarnations. We go through a lot of reincarnations, so you might come across someone who is from the past, and you will have a karmic connection or karmic relationship. Either you are paying off your debt, or that person is going to pay off the debt to you. So either ways, again, you do have to Ketu and Rahu. They're not a planet in and of itself in which give result, but they usually give result with the planet they're sitting in. So you do have to look into what planet, apart from Ketu, what other planet is Rahu affecting, and that's how you can know the results. But other than that, that's pretty much it for today's video. Now, like I said, I mean, if you like the video, please hit the like button at the bottom. Subscribe to my channel. I'll keep bringing more content and content, and this time I'm going to be sooner than later. And yeah, if you have any comments, or if you want a different style of videos, I can go ahead and do that as well. Now, do remember, I do have another channel, Astrology Express. I do keep posting videos on there as well. That's a different format. I do come live there as well, and I sometimes commentate there as well. So yeah, I would like to hear what your comments or suggestions are on these videos, and we'll take it further from there. Till then, take care and have a great day. Bye now.